Ladies and gentlemen, chess is a game with huge highs and devastating lows. Oftentimes in chess, you might be discouraged. Oftentimes in chess, you might be on top of the world. You never quite know where you're going to play that day or how you're going to play that day. Now, the difference between, just a run of the mill average chess player and a grandmaster is their ability to play at the highest high every single day, all day. Not with us puny little average folk down here. No, 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 no. They know how to play, and they know how to do it consistently. As many of you may know, I've been doing a series, Road to Grandmaster, while I review some chess games I think are worth of note, and I take you along for the ride. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, here we have a chess game against another international master, Mr. Knight, 16-1. Starts very simple. E4, E5. About as basic as you can get. Right off the rip, I always go with the old-fashioned knight to F3. That's what I play, as many of you know. He starts it off strong with a nice Philidor defense. Can't blame him. I don't see it too often. I'm not a huge fan of it. Blocks in that bishop, right? I wouldn't recommend you beginners try this. But here at the high level, it's pretty acceptable. It's something you can work around. I just develop bishop. He develops his. Notably, it is just a good move. Now, at any other level, that's just the best move, right? There's nothing wrong with this move by any means. I mean, you can kick it immediately. That probably is the best move, I would imagine, here. It is. Look at that. However, I did not want to do it that way. I brought out my other knight. Second best move. Can't blame me. I want to get these pieces all active. Look at that. 3 for his 1. So if he does anything else, maybe push another pawn, he can develop his knight, obviously. But if he's slow to develop, I'm going to have a lead on development and can launch my attack before him. And that's what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, he does develop his knight, understandably. I do come around to kicking his little itty-bitty bishop. Scoots it away. Now, right there, mistake he should have taken. Right? Just get it over with. Oh. Yeah, see, perfect. Best move. Which I, of course, would take back. The game would carry on. No, he did not do that. He moved it away. Now, it might look to the untrained eye like a mistake, right? The game wants me to, of course, push with this piece, of course, or it wants me to castle immediately is what it wants me. Wants me to develop my knight, of course, which it wants me to push strike in the. Are you serious? It obviously. 1 second, folks. It wants me to push. No, I already tried that. Hold, wait, hold. Close your eyes. It wants me to take in the center. Clearly, I mean, to the untrained eye, that's just a hanging of a knight. 2 different ways. I mean, it's not even protected at all. You might be thinking, larp them. Why? What's the idea with there? Well, let me just show you here. Now, when he takes my queen, of course, blunder. Duh. Oh, actually, I've seen this. It's just checkmate. Doop, boop, boop. Very, very interesting mate. You don't see this too often. Checkmated with 3 pieces in their territory. Now, should I have seen this? Sure, but I didn't want the game to end too fast, right? That's just boring. Who wants to do that? So, as respect to my international master opponent here, I did not play that line, and I just pushed the pawn to develop my bishop normally. You might be thinking, well, I would have seen that. Well, I did too, pal. Like I said, just wanted the game to progress. Otherwise, you can't get any better if you're just winning every single game off rip. It's about the meat and potatoes of the game. Now, obviously, you can see that knight jumped into the middle. Rookie mistakes. Now I can just strike back with my pawn. You might be thinking, but isn't this just hanging with check? Yes, but it's defended by the queen. Who cares? And now he has to move the bishop, right? So, right off the rip, he's making a mistake. Look at the advantage already. I have a great advantage. The greatest advantage! So, obviously, the move here was not to bring out the queen. Idiot. He, of course, needed to move his bishop back, right? I mean, there was no other option here. Maybe you can get away with this, but not around here, pal. So, of course, he does not do that. He brings his queen out. Now you may be thinking, well, isn't that why are you taking in the middle of the knight instead of the bishop here? Well, let me tell you, my friend, and frankly, I wanted to explain this in more detail to show you. See, if you were to take, right, let's say hypothetically, best move, great move, you take back with the knight, you jump in, attacking the queen again. The queen has to move, and now you take the bishop, and just like that, ladies and gentlemen, you're up a whole piece. I mean, does it get any easier than that? I mean, yeah, he's going to kick you and all that good stuff, but I mean, he's just in a tough spot. Now, I, again, did not want to end the game too quickly. I wanted to show, what's going on here for the lower levels, such as yourselves. So, I took the bishop. Now, you might be thinking, oh, that's just a full blunder of a knight. Well, you'd be right. However, that's only if he takes with the knight himself. Otherwise, I mean, let's say, hypothetically, he actually did do this. He takes with the queen. Now, my advantage is gone, right? Don't get it mistaken. It's still a bad move. But now, when I take back and he takes back with check, I get to just move my king, which, unfortunately, he caught me here. I'll admit, I was trying to play like Magnus, right? Oh, you got to always study the greats, right? In any sport you do, if you're playing lacrosse, if you're playing football, soccer, Lionel Messi, you always want to watch the greats and emulate what they do. Oftentimes, you'll see the Grandmaster walk his king triumphantly into the middle of the board. He's supporting his soldiers. He is leading from the front. Unfortunately, does not work in this game. I should have seen it. He hops his knight back, checks me, and I have to walk back. So be it. Mistakes were made. You live and you learn. Now, we just have a couple. He moves his pawn, blocking his knight like an idiot. I mean, why would you even do that? I just developed naturally, put some pressure on his horsey. He castles. Now, the computer wants me to take there, and you might be thinking, why didn't you take there? What's the idea behind the knight here? Well, let me tell you, folks. The idea here is I can take this way, he takes, and then I take. Now, you might be thinking, well, that's stupid. Wouldn't he just take here? Yes, but then his knight's out of the center, and I get more scope with my bishop, and he kind of just like owns these light squares here. I mean, look, all his pieces are on dark squares here. I mean, literally has dark squared bishop. I mean, my light squared bishop, I think, will pay dividends. That was my thought process behind it. Unfortunately, the computer doesn't quite agree with my tactic here. That's okay. Sometimes you get that. It's not the end of the world. He, of course, misses it. Somehow, this international master, he just keeps messing up. At this point, I'm over it. I'll punish him. So I take. Now I have the bishop pair. Always very good. Worth more than the knights, especially at this point in the game where everything's so open. And, again, I mean, I'm just going to laser this whole position with these bishops. Now, it wanted me to play bishop here, obviously checking the king. He has to defend, which would be a bad move. He just lose, so he'd have to move. I mean, let's see. Let's play this out. Where was I? Right. He has to move away. Now I'm very comfortable here in the center, right? I mean, I'm just looking at everything in his position. Now, I missed that, unfortunately, but I play a good move. I attack his pawn here, take the open file. It's not over yet. The eval is saying it's over, but I'm only up a pawn. You don't have the eval bar here. You don't. In the game, your brain's moving. You don't quite see what's going on. Now, he breaks his rook up, which is playing into that move we just spoke about, and this time I do spot it. So his best move is to just develop unfortunately, he does find a good move. He moves his king, and then when I take, he recaptures. Basic chess here. Now it's just conversion, right? I'm up a rook for a bishop. I'm going to, you know, stack my rooks. I'm going to dominate this file. He's not even developed his pieces. Look at that, just ugly in the corner. I mean, he is in a tough spot. Again, my king already walked up. I didn't castle. Didn't end up being that big of a deal in this game. He pushes his pawns. He walks his king to the middle. Now, he does have a very active king. It is important to remember he does have an active king. However, it's just not enough. I block all of his escape routes. His only options maybe to strike forward with a pawn. Try to give him some breathing room here. He strikes forward with the wrong pawn, unfortunately, and he apparently the engine did want me to play check here, which makes enough sense. I'd say now he's right in the line of this whole exchange, or if I take, I have a check, right? At the end of the day, who really cares? I got the bishop off the board. He's got his knight out the way. Now it's just wanting me to move my king up or bring the rook over. I move the king up. He's starting to push pawns. At this point, it's just end the game, right? I do a nice little sequence here where his knight is pinned to his king. He takes back, obviously, and I take back again, reapplying pressure on this knight. He has to take. Well, doesn't he can move away, but best move is to take here. And I, of course, find the best follow-up move, which is rook over. And then did he play that? Let's see. He does. He does find the second best, or the best move, which is just attack my rook. But too little, too late. Now his knight is still pinned to his king, and now I have two attackers here. Nothing he can really do at this point. Excuse me. He checks me. I walk my king. Big whoop. Big exchange. Now I'm just up a rook. I'm gobbling up all the pawns. You've seen this 1,000 times before. You don't need to see anything too crazy. He gets one pawn going. Now he's trying to stalemate, I would imagine, here. Just move here, like I always say. The end games, you got to make them as simple as possible. What you want to do is put a rook on a file where it cuts the king off from going to gobble up our good pawns here. Now, could he walk around and try to grab this pawn? Yes, I think that's what the engine, in fact, is trying to get him to do. But it's just going to be too little too late. He's blocked off from the side of the board, and I just throw my pawn downward. Again, when he comes to, very important here, when he comes to attack your rook, you need to yeet that fella. Are the kids still saying yeet? Yeet that fella to the other side of the board. Now what's the king going to do? Walk all the way back down here? I don't think so. He doesn't have time. So, again, very basic. I just push my pawn, get a queen, check, cut off his squares. Again, we're cutting off the king, giving him less and less breathing room here. I bring my my rook down, and then it's simple as ladder mate can be. You just boop, 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 boom. Game one done. Very good game to my opponent. Respect him dearly. Game number 2. I am playing another international master, Fraps. Widely known in the chess community, our good friend Fraps. Now, in this game, I actually get to play my tried and true Caro-Kann. Very easy, very simple, advanced variation. I push the pawn here, favorite move, favorite response. Now, he does come with an inaccuracy, which is he develops his bishop, and sometimes you see this. These international masters, they're trying to experiment, the beginning, the opening of chess has been completed, right? There are no new moves. However, in order to win these games, you need to create an imbalance, right? Now, in this instance, my opponent is giving up the control of the center pawns and giving me 2 center pawns for his 1. Now, in the game, things don't quite go my way. Typically, right? He caught me off guard here. I haven't played this variation in a while. And frankly, I think he knew that. He knows me, and he knows that in order to get under my skin on the Caro-Kann, he needs to throw a wrench at me, right? Throw a wrench into the gears. He's got to be a little crafty. He's to slip in and out of my punches, right? Chess is like a book that you've read before, right? And what he's doing here is he's tearing out some pages. And now he's asking me to recite the book from memory. And frankly, he is calling my bluff. We'll see how that ends up going. He takes back with the bishop. Obviously, best move. I bring out the knight attacking his bishop. Retreats the bishop. All very basic here. It wanted me to push the pawn. I developed a bishop. Again, I haven't played this variation in quite some time. This is what he was looking for. He develops his knight, best move, open up scope my bishop, he brings out his bishop. Now, the best move here is to bring out my knight. You might, to the untrained eye, you'd be like, you're blocking your bishop here, right, man? But what the idea here is when he takes with his bishop, I can then recapture with my knight, exuding pressure on this pawn and this pawn if I ever wanted to push it. And that way I'd have lasting control on the center. Unfortunately, I just developed my bishop. I did a good move still. Not a blunder, not a mistake by any means. Just not quite what we're looking for. I actually really like it when people take my knight here for the bishop, because again, I'm getting rid of their bishop pair, and I'm getting another attacker into the fray, which I can maybe even push again and have a very long pawn chain, or push here and attack in the center. I really like it. Unfortunately, the engine didn't quite agree with me, but that's all right. He takes, again, now I have that extra pawn here. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. We're off to a good start. Now he castles. I have a bit of an advantage here. Again, I'm not up any material, but I do have these 3 center pawns for his 1 that's going to be very hard to hold on to. Just a pawn protected by a piece, and a pawn protected by a piece is very, very vulnerable, as opposed to mine, which are connected with protected by pawns themselves. My only real weakness here is this pawn, as it does not have its own pawn protecting him. Again, not a big deal. Knight's incoming. It'll all be fine. I bring my queen, get a little battery ram, threaten it a bit. He can't put his rook behind his pawn. Again, it is going to be hard to defend that pawn. Now, brings his knight. Everything's actually going quite well for my opponent. I bring my knight into the fray. He brings his knight, blunders in 1 move, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, best move to take it. Now, you might be asking, Larptham, what's going on here? Why'd you play that move? And honestly, folks, I couldn't tell you what was happening to me this game. I think I was in the trenches. I was tilted. I wasn't doing well. Maybe it was a mouse slip. Something happened where I just didn't take this pawn. Maybe I didn't want the scope of the queen, and I was worried about it coming this way. Maybe I fell for his bluff, but who knows? Whatever the reason, I didn't take it. We still have a game on our hands. The eval might be saying I'm toast, and frankly, ladies and gentlemen, international opponent like my opponent here, it's not going to go well, and that's exactly what happens. He forks my king and queen, and I have to take. He gets a pawn right here. Again, it's a passed pawn at this point, but again, very hard to defend, and it's certainly at your guys' level. I mean, there's really no telling what's going to happen. So I have to move my knight. He brings his bishop into the fray, and now I can't castle. It's not looking good, folks. I kick the bishop. He comes out. The engine does not love that move, as you see. What it wanted was for it to continue to attack and hit my queen, forcing it to move, and then taking my bishop, all said and done, and now he has a nice easy check anytime he wants. It also wants you to, of course, save the bishop and watch over the king. The king has a hard time moving. In fact, that pawn, that bishop, the rook, and queen incoming, it is looking bad for me. Luckily, he did not. Wait, no, he did go that route. All right, well, I'll eat my words, I suppose. Wait, no. I'm too far forward. Here we go. So, I bring out my horsey. I kick his bishop again. It doesn't love it. It wants me to now go here, block the access of the bishop if it were ever able to get there. Move my queen down to start attacking that pawn. That's exactly what I do. I start clutching up right here in the trenches. That's what always happens. You start losing in the beginning, then you have to fight back, because this game is never over. Now, mistake number 2. He's only made two mistakes here. He had an advantage of point or plus almost 3.0, 2.89, right? It can't get much better than that. He makes two mistakes. Not even big mistakes. Retreating his bishop, very natural when it's under attack. Attacking the queen, very natural. Protected by the rook, he's not hanging anything. Right, so then he allows me to move my queen back, which is not the best move. It wants me to go here. I couldn't really quite tell you the difference. Maybe actually looking back now, it wants me to move here. So maybe in the future I can go here. So it's more defense of the king. Regardless, he moves down. I take the pawn back. So now we're actually even. Believe it or not, this position. Can you ever see anything like this? My rook's out here. The bishop's like completely eyeing this whole diagonal. I mean, look at this scope of this bishop. It is powerful. My bishop has nothing, right? I mean, look at this. This is my bishop right here. Nothing. Nothing compared to that bishop. He is dominating. Probably the best piece on the board right now. So he brings his rook over. Again, very natural. It's wanting to attack. Oh, I see how this... Yeah, it wanted a little forky fork. Oh, well, he does not spot it. I get to move my knight over now, ladies and gentlemen. I actually have a chance here to come back. That was not apparently the best move. Oh, it wanted me just to pin the horse to the queen. Semantics. Who cares, right? I check the king. He moves over. It's looking like I have a chance here. I bring the rook up. I'm thinking go up and double. It is a blunder because I missed knight to h4. Believe it or not, that just works. Knight on the edge of the board. Look at this. How often do you see two knights on the edge of the board? Not often, ladies and gentlemen. Now it's attacking both of my very valuable pieces. I'm going to have to move the rook, and I'm going to lose the bishop, opening up on my... I'm not actually going to even get the bishop. I can go here, probably. See how this wants me to play? It just wants me to ignore it completely. If I were to defend, oh, man, that is brutal. It's just going to keep attacking my rook and just tell me, like, do something, like it's calling my bluff here. Now, of course, we are only human. It is hard to spot these things in the heat of the moment. I make some very natural, I would say, moves. He does spot that knight move. I get my rook into the game. Now you see the eval bar is jumping, but again, we don't see this in the game. He hangs his bishop, which I do spot. I think this is my last moment to come back in the game. He takes back. Now it is very important that I get my queen out and get it some vision. Unfortunately, I do not find that move. It's not the end of the world. I'm still winning. I'm up a whole pawn. Can you believe it? He finds best move, brings his queen into the fray. I didn't notice this. He is hitting that. He is looking at this pawn. If my queen ever moves and I get a castle, my king, I mean, his rook is eyeing down my position. I thought I was doing real well, right? I mean, my rook's eyeing his king down right behind I was planning something like this. I do end up still doing it. The engine is crazy, right? It wants... I mean, how often do you see that this is pinned to your king? I mean, now, should I have seen this? Yes. Fortunately, my opponent did not see this. He plays queen takes h7. Massive mistake. I get a free check, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen. King is forced to move. It is over. The game is over, ladies and gentlemen. I hang the rook in one move. Not gonna lie, when I played this move, I felt like quitting forever. I didn't think I had it in me. I don't know. I still don't know if I do. You play a really good game, and then you come back and you play a horrible game. Like I said, highest of highs, lowest of lows. And ladies and gentlemen, after queen g5, there's just no recovery. I try to hang in there, give some checks, move my king up. And like I said, I'm shuffling my pieces, doubling, but he just has too many defenders. Nice little cheeky check I found. I thought this was kind of neat. It is X-raying to see his rook here, but again, he just has too many pieces. He moves his king away. Best move was to offer a queen trade, funnily enough, because now you're threatening this, and you have a lot of forward momentum here with these pawns. Unfortunately, the coach whispered in my ear, never trade queens when down. I should have my mistake. Again, this is still hanging. Been hanging all game, doesn't matter. I attack the queen. He moves. Now, best move would have been to push my pawn here. I'm just moving my king up. Again, I have 3 minutes against 5. I'm trying to catch up on the clock. I'm trying to put some pressure on him, keep pieces on the board, and go for a stalemate. Unfortunately, my opponent, very experienced international master, he attacks my rook. I panic. I attack the queen, not realizing he can take my rook attacking my queen. It is a 2-for-1 blunder, and it is bad. I tried to pin these rooks to each other, which does not work because the queen is just here and can hang out here. It doesn't even matter. In fact, he can just move his rook over, which is what the engine wants, and what he did. Again, just pushing pawns. I'm just praying at this point. I always say don't play hope chess, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. I'm going for stalemate. He infiltrates my position, forces me down to queen, gets my pawn here, and it's just all downhill. A relatively classic little mate here, nothing too special, and checkmate. So, just want to show you those games today. Again, I don't really know here. One moment. I don't really know where to go with this series. Some days I feel like I can do it. I am days, if not hours, away from being a grandmaster. I feel like I can see everything. Other days, I'm just falling apart. Maybe I'm warming up wrong. Maybe I need to go hit the books, start studying some more. But I don't know. You guys, let me know what you think down in the description or in the comments below. That's all I've got for you today. Very, very tough game. These two games, very instructive moments, very, very unfortunate moments as well. Thank you so much, you guys.